Welcome to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're the podcast that covers everything pop culture and beyond the multiverse. Are you ready to get your geek on? Crank up the DeLorean, warm up the proton packs, toss a coin to your Witcher, and deep dive into your favorite plate of chimichangas. This is PopXcast.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Here we go!
PopXcast.
I was born in it, molded by it.
PopXcast. No strings on me. Autobots, transform. I'm Batman. By the power of Grayskull. PopXcast.
We're doomed.
Goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Here's Johnny.
Never had a pet pony.
Hasta la vista, baby.
PopXcast.
Captain's log supplemental.
Negasonic Teenage. What the
I am the one who knocks.
Excelsior!
All right, Excelsior, Stan Lee, always kicking off every episode of PopXcast because he is the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Stan Lee. What is up, Team PopX? How the heck are you on this March the 21st, 2021?
Hi, how's
Feel good, Joe.
it going?
Feel real good.
Are you feeling great?
I'm feeling so good. I'm ready.
Just excited to be here.
Are you
Just
ready for the
ready to
long
play.
haul? Because I tell you what, it's going to be one heck of a podcast tonight.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
A lot of stuff dropped this week, man. We had some TV shows, some movies, a lot of pop culture things this week.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving parts this week. There's a lot of things going on, you know. And so, but anyway, I want to see, Austin, you hit 85? You hit 85 over the week.
Yeah.
Dude.
What?
Yeah, boy.
I sure did.
So-
I'm almost
so-
there.
You, Oscar, did you do the Oscars last week? Was that last weekend or is that coming up?
Oh my God, they're all running together. So yeah, I think the Oscar nominations were Monday, followed by Snyder Cut, followed by Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oh my God, it was an insane week.
So your
YouTube.
week has been
Wow.
cray-cray is what you're trying to tell me, right?
Wow, wow.
Yeah, and it's like all different aspects of the movie world. You have the Academy, like the uppity movies that you know getting the nominations, and then you have the superheroes and blockbusters. I think we're getting close to where I can finally say movies they're almost back.
Okay.
Are movies back?
Okay.
We're close, guys. We're close because Godzilla coming out and
you
some
feeling it?
theatrical films.
Are you feeling the
I'm feeling
vibe?
pretty good. I'm feeling
Okay.
pretty good, man.
Okay, I got you. I get what you're going. I knew there's Oscar nominations or something this week. I couldn't remember. There's so much going on, especially on your channel. I can't even freaking keep up with you. Primarily, anything else. So, Lindsay, how
He
was your
doesn't
week?
sit still.
How was your week,
It was
Lindsay
wonderful,
Badger?
dude.
Yeah, did you do anything
It was
fun?
fantastic. Did a little family trip this weekend. Go visit some relatives. Had a
Nice.
little weenie roast, s'mores.
I like weenie roast.
Hang
There
out
you
with the
go.
four-wheeler and the BB guns and get
look
all
at you.
down and dirty in the country kind of
Living
thing.
that country
It was fun. The
life,
kids
know
had a
what I'm
blast.
saying?
Yeah,
Some weenies.
it was great. It was good times.
Did you roast some wieners?
Sounds
I did. I
real
roasted
That
some
sounds
wieners.
pretty dang good.
And then
right
we
about now.
roasted some mallows.
Did you
Mm.
have some canned
Gotta
chili?
roast the mallows.
Ooh,
No,
that's the
no
good
kidding.
stuff.
I like canned chili anyway. Moving on.
No.
I would ask Mike if he had a good weekend, but his microphone's muted and there's no image of him, so I don't really know what's going on here. So he's
I'm
just.
just fluffy. Thanks for asking.
Oh.
Are you fluffy?
Who was that?
Are you fluffy?
We do love a good fluffy.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
feeling fluffy.
well, I guess we're going to kick off the episode here this week. By the way, I didn't even change the document. So please adjust accordingly because well, I know I'm getting bad, I think is what it is. But it's so cool that this is episode 118. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to be, just a couple things before we open up the intro of the show. We're not going to be doing any news this week because this show is just going to be so jam-packed. There's a lot of moving parts, like I said, and I want to make sure that we have time. And this is not going to be the Snyder cut of PopXcast. You see what I'm saying?
Nobody needs to wear an adult diaper to watch this show.
Well,
I already am.
I was getting ready to say I just replaced mine before I went live.
Yeah.
I doubled up just in case. So.
You're doubling down or doubling up?
It's going to be that
up,
epic.
Down, in between, sideways, diagonal.
What is going on? I don't know. Anyway, Austin Burke, kick us off. Let's get this thing started.
All right. So I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart and in his liver. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live in the PopX.live chat room. Come hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com. If this is your first time tuning into PopX, the first 20 minutes or so, normally we're going to run down the headlines since our last show and then dive into the show topic. But today we have two distinct show topics with a retro rewind as well. That segment is fun, and I can't wait to talk about today's film. So a jam-packed show today.
Indeed, indeed. And I'm your host, Joseph Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. Now, I want to thank everybody for joining us over here in the PopX.live chat room on our YouTube Live. I want to say a big shout out to all of our favorite fans that are joining us right now. It's John Poffenbarger. We got Nuclear Venom hanging out with us. We have, oh my gosh, Usama. We have Darth Baca. Of course, Darth Baca has been with us for probably, 7 years now. I don't know. We weren't even conceived and he was still with us as PopXcast, but that's amazing. Want to remind everybody to join us over on the Creative Multiverse. We're just a part of this really cool group of creatives that create a lot of art. We do a lot of fun things. And if you want to see some of the stuff that we do and you want to be a part of some of the things that we do, the word prompt challenges and etc., just get on Facebook groups and search the Creative Multiverse, and that will get you connected with us.
Yes. And I had a little birdie tell me before the show that we are being shared out on haps.tv.
Oh, we're on Haps, huh? What's up, Haps?
So what's up, friends, over there on Haps? Thanks for sharing out the show, and I hope you guys enjoy it tonight.
Well, thank you.
So last week, we threw down on episode, was it tonight? 117, right?
I think it
WandaVision.
was. Where am I at right now?
Who am I?
Who am I? I don't even know where I'm at. 117. We finished up the series of WandaVision. We
Finale
threw down
recap,
and discussed the last two episodes of the goodness that wrapped up that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also did a little bit of retro rewind talking about one of my childhood favorite movies, The Never Ending Story.
Yes.
So make sure you go back and rewatch that episode and all of our other wonderful episodes that, all of them are our favorites. They're all our babies.
Yes,
Go back, watch them at popxcast.com, and all of the goodness for geeks of all topics are right there for you.
Indeed.
All right. So as I always say, not right now,
okay,
but after tonight's show,
yes,
I need you to go over to Google Play or iTunes.
Go over there
and click that subscribe button.
No, you want
and catch up on all the amazing shows of the PopX archive. While you're there, we'd appreciate it if you'd show us some love, leaving us a 5-star rating, and maybe a couple of nice words in the review box. That would be super cool too.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
It. We
appreciate
just love all the love.
Now, like I said, John Parkerberg, TMI. I don't know. I don't know what he's. I think I know what he's referring to, but I don't
the diaper.
Yeah, it's a diaper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which. Sorry, I pulled that from Steve Martin. Did you ever see that Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
That's exactly when you said it. I'm like, I know what he's doing. That's so good.
God, it's so great. It's so good. All right, guys, we are going to roll right on into Retro Rewind this week. So don't go anywhere. There's no news. Like I said, it's going to be back to back to back all show long. Be right back.
Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind.
All right, and that is the Retro Rewind. This week we are talking about none other than Matthew Broderick's, one of his introductory Hollywood into Hollywood. It's WarGames, 1982. Man, this movie is, you want to talk about nostalgia. This movie is 1,000% that, and then some. Probably one of my favorite 80s movies, early 80s movies. I'm want to share a few things, and then we'll pass around the mic here and let everybody have a moment to chime in. But I love the fact that it focuses on technology, especially technology of 1982. Now, you think about how far in advance that we've come, where, Joshua, the computer that Dr. Falcon built, is now literally, the thing that's in our hand is more powerful than what Joshua could ever be. It's crazy to think about, these rooms where computers and reel-to-reel tape and data storage was actually a thing. And that's how they did backups and storage. It's phenomenal to think about. And just the advancements just in 40 years, what happens. And so looking back on that, that's one of the things for me, the nostalgia aspect of WarGames, is seeing how they would dial into a network and use that as a way to talk to another computer, whereas we just literally connect up to a live stream server on YouTube, and now you're watching us in real time, which is crazy when you think about it. But overall, I want to pass the mic because I can literally spend a lot of time on this, but I want to go directly to Austin Burke, my cousin. And I know now, you're more of the more modern, the newer film. You're more into the more modern cinematic. How was it for you going back and watching this classic?
Little slice of history. So this is the first one out of the three that we've talked about that I haven't seen before.
Okay.
Never seen it.
Okay.
So I was nervous, right? I've been nervous going into all three of these, and all three of them I've enjoyed, right? But to a degree of, didn't really grow up with them, didn't have a lot of nostalgia. I'll tell you right now, it's the best one of the three.
Are you serious?
It's my favorite one of the three. I was charmed from top to bottom with this film. It has this nostalgic feel to it, even though I've never seen it. But to see Matthew Broderick almost the exact... Now, it's funny because, the computer hacking and whatnot, kind of Ferris Bueller does that in the movie, right? But in terms of his confidence, he is the opposite of Ferris Bueller, right?
Yeah.
He's, subtle. He's a little nervous every now and then, doesn't really know how to talk to the girl. That relationship buds a little bit. And then, of course, later on, we get that sweet story. But it is just kind of working his way into this crazy, hectic situation, sneaking around the government facility and all of these crazy things that you never expect from this kid. And the fact that he's getting bad grades and he's this smart is awesome. But it just shows you he's a little lazy, but he can do it, right?
Right.
And then to see what he actually does in the third act, the WarGames, and actually kind of outsmarting the computer in the way that it goes about it. Man, I had a great time with this movie. I did.
Awesome.
It was fun. I was in it. I thought it was well made. There were only minor issues that I had with the story every now and then. And sometimes they'd use some sound effects things. I'm like, okay, but I can't believe how much I love this movie. And then my wife, Madison, she actually watched the whole thing with me.
Wow.
And she has nostalgia for this movie. So this is one that her dad used to put on for them. And it's one of their favorites. So, man, whole can of worms opened up with this film. It was awesome.
Well, let me ask you,
a great time.
Before I pass the baton to Lindsay, how is it for you seeing, now these are films that I grew up with from my childhood, and there's about a 15-year difference in terms of the cinematic age gap between what I started watching and what you started watching.
Yeah.
And so how is it seeing films that are classics, you've heard are classics and are solidified in pop culture, but how is it now that you're starting, that Joe is essentially kind of opening up this can of worms for you? How is this journey for you? I mean, so far I'm feeling a 3 out of 3 hit with you.
It is, because I have my 80s nostalgic classics that I go back to, grew up with, even though they didn't come out during my time.
Right.
But all the ones that we've watched over the last couple of weeks have been just doors that I've never opened. And it's either out of hesitation or, not going back to the Neverending Story after not watching it for forever, because I have that fear of oh man, is it going to hold up? Is it special effects, this and that? For the most part, it hasn't mattered because the magic has been there, and it's almost this time capsule going back and experiencing what it was like. And I think WarGames is the best experience for me from that, because this takes that time period, encapsulates it perfectly, gives you a great adventure, a well-written adventure, and you have Matthew Broderick at the forefront, who is just so charming and compelling, even as hesitant and subtle as he is.
So cool, man.
I mean, this was
That
awesome,
is so
dude.
cool. I want to use
it.
you'd shout out right now to I Talk Marvel 227 over in the chat room, and we got Magpie hanging out with us. What's up, Magpie? And we also have Leggy. What's up, Leggy, on the radio? It's so good to see you, Miss Helen Wallace, all the way from over in Europe. What's up, girl?
Wow.
How you doing?
Wow.
Lindsay Badger, WarGames, ready, go.
Oh my gosh. WarGames. Again, I do have that nostalgic tie in. It's definitely a treasured movie from my childhood as well. Not nearly as obsessed. I don't think I watched it nearly as many times as Neverending Story, but nonetheless, it still has a fond place in my heart. The most joy that I experienced from watching this movie this week is that I got to share it with my family.
Oh.
My 2 young children had never seen this movie before, and my husband hadn't seen it either. So it was kind of a joy to watch their reactions and their initial experience with not only the old tech and trying to explain to them what a payphone is, first of all.
Yeah, that's a conversation starter.
And what I mean, like, all the computer equipment that he had stacked in that corner of his room, you can literally shove into a phone now. And so the kids don't get that anymore. Yeah. And you know, you said earlier, Joe, about Joshua fitting in a phone. Yeah. I mean, all of our technology today is so micro compared to what they experienced in the show.
Yep.
So it looks a lot more impressive in that movie.
On the scale of everything.
On the scale of everything. And there is, even if you take all of the dated technology out of it, even though it's a technology movie, the storyline is so intriguing. It brings you in. They have really great character development that makes you feel a connection to both the main characters as they go through this journey of wacky government shenanigans. And the amount of research that he put into trying to tap into this password at the beginning of the movie is highly impressive for a teenager.
He did his work on it.
I was just like amazed, because I mean, I guess that just kind of shows you how smart he is and how driven he is to reach a goal that he is set to. Not necessarily smarts in school, like book smart, like, he's a little bit of a rebel, but it still shows that he's not just some brat kid. He actually does have an intelligence there, and he's driven to reach his goal, whatever that is. And I really admire that part of the character, and that carries throughout the entire show with him, jimmying the lock of the little keypad and breaking out of his little jail cell or whatever that room was, and even remembering the tic-tac-toe conversation with the doctor, and at the end tapping that into to save the day at the end of the movie. I mean, he's always pulling in those really intelligent nuggets to show that he's not just some average punk. He's actually an intelligent guy.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. I really enjoyed I always enjoy this show. It's always a fun thing.
I love hearing that. You know what I love about that too, Lindsay? I was just hearing you talking. I love that you shared that with your family. You guys made it a family venture. Yeah. So that's the point of this, is the films that we choose are going to be fun. They're going to be fun like that. And I want to now pull over to Mike, one of our tech gurus from Atlanta. Now I know he is my retro 80s counterpart, as well as Lindsay is. And so, Mike, what was your thoughts on WarGames? I know you've probably seen this a million times at this point.
Oh yeah, this is one of those that it fits right up there with Ghostbusters, Back to the Future as an 80s classic. Anytime it'd be on TV, even if it'd be on just one of those networks like TNT, TBS, it'd be one of those movies I just throw on just to have on. And and I can relate to the technology back then. I remember computers I had with floppy drives and those big floppy disks.
Dude, that thing was big, dude.
Yeah, he had the big 8-inch floppy. I never had them.
Pull the lever down.
But and just that kind of movie. It's one of the early stage movies that kind of show that can be the world destruction movie like what we have now, like 2012, Armageddon, Deep Impact, all the world and how the computers will take over and destroy the world. So that I think started the early stages, of the Armageddon style movies on how, the computers will take over and destroy the world. And just a great cast in it as well. Matthew Broderick, Ali Sheedy, Dabney Coleman, just a great cast in that movie. But it's one of those classics that's right up there with the like I said, the Ghostbusters, Back to the Future. I can watch hundreds of times.
I couldn't agree more. And just in hearing your review, I mean, it definitely is one of those classic nostalgic things. And something I heard in your review, Mike, is that you're pulling back to the old technology, the things that, I mean, are totally obsolete and non-existent in today's modern technological world. And it's just really interesting. And I love the fact that Ali Sheedy, if you don't know who that is, so else, if you've never seen The Breakfast Club, hello. I mean, she's definitely a huge 80s star for sure. But we're going to review WarGames, and we're going to go in the order that I called. So let's go in reverse order. Let's switch it up. Mike, what would, if 1 to 10, what would you rate WarGames?
This movie's a 9 for me.
Nice.
I definitely enjoy it. It's got a big rewatchability factor.
It does. Badges?
8.2.
8.2. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Burke?
I'm curious to see what the rewatchability is like. I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to go a flat 8 with my score, but it's the highest one I've given so far. And again, I could see this fitting in with the Ghostbusters, like that kind of 80s classics for me. I can't wait to go back.
I bet your dad's seen WarGames so many times.
I think he has.
Yeah,
because I was talking about it in front of him, and he was like, WarGames. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he likes
really.
it. Yeah.
I'm going to go with an 8.5 on my score because it does have a lot of the rewatchability. Actually, it's one of those movies I'll catch myself at least once a year putting on in the background, just because to have it on. So It's definitely awesome. So we have an 8.5. We got an 8. What was Lindsay's again? 8.2. And then we got what was Mike's? 8. 9. Nice. Man. So there we go. That is across the board on WarGames. So we are now going to transition over to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Holy cow. Now, before we get going on this, I want to roll the spoiler alert warning, okay? If you've not watched episode 1, all right, I'm going to roll this for both. If you've not seen Snyder Cut Justice League or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, please hit the pause button, come back and enjoy PopX when you have seen both and you're not spoiled on the content, because we are going to be deep diving into some heavy spoiler content. So we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Spoiler alert.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
All right, you have been warned. Falcon and the Winter Soldier dropped on Disney Plus at 3 a.m. East Coast time here on Friday morning. And I know that Austin Burke was literally setting
totally
up. He had his whole thing set up there, and he's all ready to go. You did a great review on this, by the way, too, Austin. I really appreciated it. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we were discussing this. I want to get this right out. I want to talk about the elephant in the room immediately concerning Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I kind of felt it was overshadowed a little bit by the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh, yeah. I do feel that there was a little bit of a pull of the audience in one direction as opposed to both directions. I do know that a lot of us hardcore fans of both genres, DC and Marvel, we watched them both. We were loyal to the trade. But given that fact, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, oh my gosh. I'm going to give a little setup. I want Austin and Lindsay to chime in here in a minute, but this is one of those movies, if you're watching on Disney Plus, this is post Endgame. This is one of those MCU editions that is definitely in the genre of past Thanos, where we're past all of that. It's somewhere in the midst of WandaVision going on. We don't know exactly where the timeline is on that. But one thing I do know is that it's really interesting to see how the episode is divided up. We are set up and we get to see Sam's background and what's happened to him and the repercussions of being part of the blip. I forgot about that. I forgot that Sam Wilson was blipped out. I was like, holy cow. there were so many heroes and superheroes and just characters in general in the MCU that were snapped out. You just don't really think about it.
I think only the core 6 stayed, right? And the rest of the B Avengers.
Well, Bucky Barnes was in it.
Okay.
War Machine was still alive. Black Widow was still going. There was a mix. It was a hodgepodge essentially. Okay. But I love the fact it's not my favorite MCU episode. It was a little slow. There's moments that was a little slow for me, but I do love the fact that it spent the time. It dove into Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson's backstory post Endgame. Where are they at? How are they adjusting? How are they trying to find themselves post Steve Rogers, post Thanos, post Blip? And I really love the direction that Marvel went on this. Now, I can see the trajectory where they're going to go for the next 5 episodes and setting up, what is it, the flag, what do they call themselves? The Flag
Smashers.
Flag Smashers, which is a weird name for first and foremost. We're the Flag Smashers. But Austin, I want to turn it over to you and Lindsay as well, and Mike. I want Mike to chime in. We'll start with Austin first. What was your overall take on episode 1, Falcon Winter Soldier?
Yeah, it's definitely slow. It's definitely a little slower than I was anticipating. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we open up with a great action scene, very reminiscent of the Winter Soldier when we get Cap's little adventure, and funny enough, against Batroc the Leaper. So it's almost like the same. Again. Yeah, it was like the same kind of. And then you have Henry Jackman's score, which is the same guy who composed Winter Soldier. So I'm getting Winter Soldier vibes, and you guys know it's like my favorite Marvel movie. So I'm hyped up. And then we take a second, we step back, and we kind of go into Sam Wilson and his sister, Bucky Barnes, marking those things off of the list, trying to right the wrongs of his past, which is nice to see them dive into. We also got a great flashback scene with him in the mask and the Winter Soldier theme song playing again, and I got chills running up and down my arms. But I like seeing the exploration of those two. Now, we never got the interaction. I think we're setting up for the next episode, but we got a lot of introductions that I think are going to play into the villainous aspects of this show, whether it be the Flag Smashers. Who is the person with superpowers there? Well, we've kind of seen who it is from the teasers, and we understand what she's going to be, but it's very interesting to see where they get their powers, what their mission is, and if, I don't think they are, but if they are the villains, or if Zemo is behind the scenes kind of pulling some strings. And I also think Zemo has maybe something to do with the other Captain America we get. But we also see, kind of going forward, we see Zemo, Falcon, and Winter Soldier walking together in one of the teasers. So I'm like, is Zemo on their side at a point? So
yeah.
A lot of cool plot points set up in this episode, and I liked the exploration of the characters. So overall, a solid introduction in what should be a really cool show.
And did you notice this too? And I want to pass the baton to Lindsay Badger. In the opening sequence, the battle sequence where they were trying to rescue this soldier, did you notice that soldier was the secret agent?
Wait, which one?
The soldier. Yes, that was Kurt Russell's son. In the fuselage of the plane that they were trying to rescue.
Oh, wow.
The person they were rescuing ended up being
it was him.
Whatever his name is.
It was him.
Oh,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, why aren't they focusing on his face? And there's one frame where he's knocked backwards and you can see his face because he's got a very distinct nose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, nobody, and I've noticed this, and I've kept this secret since Friday. I was like, why is nobody talking about the guy that they saved in the fuselage of the plane?
They probably didn't even think there was anything relevant about it.
Right. And
so that opens up doors of he's maybe been experimented on. He may be, hired by them to infiltrate. Ooh, Joseph. Oh, Joseph.
Just gonna say something right there.
Can of worms to mull around in your brains there.
Now I could be pretty wrong on that. I mean, honestly though, I went back and rewatched it and I'm like, no, that's him. That's him without the mask.
Wow.
That is definitely him in the fuselage. But if you notice, it never really says his name. And I feel there's going to be a part in one of the episodes coming up where that's going to be revisited and it's going to be like, I was that guy in the plane that you rescued. And
that's cool.
It's going to be crazy. So,
man.
Yeah. Yes, I have to agree with I Talk Marvel. The new Captain America Halloween, it does look like a Halloween costume.
It does.
Lindsay Badger, what are your thoughts on?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, first of all, can I say thank God it's an hour long? First of all, this is going to be a very short series. You're going to hear when episode 6 rolls around, you're going to hear, just like at the end of WandaVision, when season 2 coming out, y'all, because they don't pay attention. Y'all, there is nothing beyond the end of this season. Yeah. It's it. That's it. It's donezo. I'm very, very glad that we are getting hour-long episodes for this series as opposed to the WandaVision show, because I was like left wanting and I felt so empty inside whenever the 20 minutes were up with Wanda. So I'm glad that we got a little more meat on our bones to chew on for an hour of content here. Boy, did they come out of the gate with all guns ablazing. Yes, literally. I was like, we didn't even get, a kiss before we jumped right into the action here. I really loved that action sequence where he's flying in and out of all of the helicopters. It's super exciting and a thrill for like the first 10-15 minutes of the episode. I don't even know how long the battle was. I lost track of time, but amazing, exciting, really brings you into where they're at and gets your mindset back into the Avengers mode. Yeah. Which is something that I've been missing. I don't know about you guys, but I've been missing it. So that was exciting. And then so I feel like the Falcon storyline was very high adrenaline.
It was.
And on the opposite end of the spectrum was the Winter Soldier, where he's kind of just trying to come to grips with life a little bit. I really, honestly, I know there was a lot of other really good parts of this episode, but I resonated probably more with their therapy session, where he's actually breaking down and talking about where his head is at and how he's trying to sort through his, 90 years of fighting. And it's just been battle after battle after battle. And now he does not have a clue what to do with himself because he's not fighting anybody.
No, he's not fighting anybody too. And this is post Endgame, and his mind is intact. He's back to Bucky Barnes, and
he's kind of like, now what?
But that one part of the story where he spends we get the Winter Soldier flashback where he kills the boy.
Yes.
And then we see that he's spending time with this old gentleman.
Oh my goodness.
That just stabbed me in the heart at the end of the episode where it wrapped around, and you make that connection when you just peek over the old man's shoulder,
son
you see
died.
the shrine, and it's the picture of the kid that he killed. And he was not an attacker or anything. He was just a perfectly innocent person that was literally in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That right there, Marvel, you just kicked me on the feels, bro. That was hard.
I think that's a great point. It's because like we're so focused on the action and them coming together and all this. And I was trying to put the pieces. I'm like, was that somebody that he knew when he was younger? Like Winter Soldier went back before he was. But then you make that connection. You're like, Marvel just really gave us another layer to the Winter Soldier that we didn't know existed, we're already like, we went from here to here with that character in one episode. So I can't wait to see where we continue to go.
And the other thing that's a little low key that I kind of, and I think we're all a little bit struggling with this, but we kind of knew it was going to happen, was Falcon letting go of that shield was gut wrenching.
Oh yeah.
Because I know that he has such a strong connection with Steve that it's hard to not disconnect the shield and Steve and to take on that mantle. And I'm sure we'll scroll back around. This is the setup. It's the pilot. This is where it's supposed to be at. But to see that shield being held by that little goober at the end of the episode just made me want to punch somebody.
I think you made a really good point, Lindsay, just in. Both of these characters are vastly connected with Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Especially Bucky. Bucky's got more history, but also too the connection between Sam and Steve, even from way back in Winter Soldier, on your left, and
the training
and stuff. And it's just really fascinating to see these two characters in, maybe in their prime. Yeah, I can say that. They're in their prime. They're in the height of the MCU legacy. And it's really, have we been introduced? Peggy Carter's daughter wasn't in this episode, was she? Or
no.
Not this one.
Not this one, no. And so we didn't get to see Zemo either. But I do love the setup. One of the interesting things about Sam's backstory that really compelled me was he went to try to get a loan for the bank to try to buy his family's shrimping boat. And he's not had any credit for 5 years.
He's like, you don't have any income. You don't have any financials. Even before the blip, you didn't have financials. He was like, did Stark pay you? And he was like, no, it was all about goodwill to man and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I was like, man, if you really think about that, try to buy something.
You've not been existent for 5 years. You've been considered dead by your local government.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to go get credit and you can't because you don't exist. That's crazy.
You don't think about that.
No.
I mean, all the repercussions from the blip, and then you go into a bank and try to ask for, and you get that. You get rejected because you got blipped out of existence. First of all, talk about punchable faces. I wanted to punch that guy around the face. Oh. But then we go back to him trying to take a selfie with Falcon, and you're like, this is the life he's living. He's being accepted by fans, but he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He's not getting paid for it. So I love that. Yeah.
This is awesome. Mike Ippolito, what did you think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, man? Was there anything that stood out for you on this particular?
It was nice to see, Marvel cinema, on TV with the opening action sequence. I mean, that's normally you only see stuff like that in the theater, so it was good to see them come out strong right at the beginning, and I'm a big George St. Pierre fan, so I was glad to see him back.
Yeah.
And just the action was good. And then, I don't know, for me, it just like fell off a cliff, like real fast, where it kind of went down, it brought you kind of back down to earth, and it just kind of, the episode really slowed down. But, it was hard to see, Bucky trying to get reacclimated to life. And even with, Sam, okay, this is now everybody's going back to life now. And hey, thank you for saving the world, but, bye, see ya. And that's kind of the impression I got out of it. It was like even with the bank and the loan and, his sister, it's good to see like that backstory. And now to see what's happened, after they saved the world, it's like, thanks, but, let's move on to something else. And, we don't worry about anybody. Like you said, the banker says, oh, you're getting like some kickbacks or something from Stark, and then he goes, oh, sorry about that. Sorry for your loss. And it was just like, that just aggravated me. And,
me too.
And it's kind of hard to see how this series is going to go after just one episode. I'm sure it's going to be good. And I kind of figured out the time frame. It's right after about 5 months after WandaVision.
Okay.
WandaVision was like about a month right after Endgame, and then they were kind of saying it's about 5 to 6 months, after WandaVision. So that kind of the timeline, matches up. It was great to see Don Cheadle as Rhodey.
Rhodey was a cameo.
I hope to see more cameos. I mean, I'm sure we're not going to see, I doubt, and I'm not even going to, put my hopes up to see, Chris Evans as Captain America. I couldn't see it being that big, but, it's good to kind of, they were asking, where's Steve Rogers now? And hopefully we kind of get an idea, even so we may not see him, to get an idea of where he is at. He did, Sam passed a remark that he's got moon stuff to do back in DC. So
moon stuff. That was so funny.
Yeah. So hopefully we get an idea, but, and then to close it out to see Captain Chinny at the end, I could have done without that. Hopefully they put an end to that in a hurry.
Dude, I'm telling you. And they tweeted though this week that he's going to be in the MCU for a while.
Oh yeah.
This particular, the U.S. agent. I mean, we know he's a U.S. agent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they're calling him the new Captain America, but technically his handle in the comics is the U.S. agent.
I can tell you right now, that boy is about to turn bad, go rogue, or something. And it's so funny. I'm seeing people. He already has the most punchable face in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's one of the most hated villains. And he was on like Instagram or something, going, "Guys, just in it for 30 seconds. All right, the mask didn't fit me very well. I apologize." The thing is, like, he's a really good looking dude in real life, and then you see him in that mask, you're like, punch him in the face. And so they did a good job of that, because that's what they wanted.
They didn't really fill the mask out very well. I don't think
she's all grin. My goodness.
I don't think certain.
Yep.
No, I don't think certain geographical parts of his face aligned up proportionally with the mask. And I think that was probably
it looked like me in that Captain America mask. Remember that picture? That's what it looked like.
High school.
You did better on that, Austin.
Thanks.
You did
filled
better.
it out a little bit better.
You wore it better, I think. But
totally wore it better.
Talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, from episode 1, I know we're only one in, but where do you feel the vibe of this going? Where do you feel the mantle of the shield gravitating to? I'm asking all three of you.
I think it's going to be a bit of a split. You know, I think eventually Falcon is going to honor the request of Steve Rogers, but I think it's just as much Winter Soldier's as it is his. And I'm not just saying that because Winter Soldier actually has superhuman abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that because they are both taking the mantle of the legacy of Captain America. Bucky righting the wrongs of his past, moving into this complete hero vibe, and then Sam Wilson always being this trained soldier, now, you know, moving into, I'm no longer a sidekick. I'm not on an adventure with Black Widow and Captain America. I am Captain America. So by the end, you're going to see that suit change along with mentality change, and we're going to see these two kick some bootay in the final few episodes.
I kind of feel that, I'm echoing you, Austin. I kind of feel that the mantle of the shield is going to be led and spearheaded by both. I don't really see one or the other, and then U.S. Agent's going to be his own different crazy storyline. But Austin, Lindsay and Mike, how do you guys feel on this?
I can agree with you. I feel like here pretty quick. Hopefully, like next episode, their paths will cross each other.
We hope so.
And because, I mean, we got to get this ball rolling. We only have 6 to work with. So at that point, I think they're going to kind of have this come to Jesus meeting about, dude, why'd you donate the shield? It was given to you because he felt that you were worthy, and, you know, this whole thing. And I feel like Bucky was Steve's best friend and was always his, you know, right arm guy to lean on.
Well, he was there even before the change.
Yeah, way before when they were kids. So I feel like Bucky's going to play that role with Sam. Sam doesn't have the confidence yet to feel like he's worthy of playing that role. And that's kind of what Bucky did with Steve, was to kind of lift him up and encourage him to embrace what was given to him. So I feel like you're going to kind of have that camaraderie kind of develop with them, even though they're probably going to be at odds at first. I feel like that's a little bit extra on the play up for the teasers, but I feel like that by the end of the show, we're going to have that same kind of vibe going on between
Lindsay
the two of them,
Badger
like him
deep
and Steve.
diving. Look at this.
That's what I feel like.
I love it. Spot on. Mike, what are your thoughts, man? What do you think is...
I think the two of them will kind of, you know, battle it out a little bit, you know, because Sam needs to kind of, you eventually realize that he's going to be taking over, you know, from Steve Rogers. And it's just a matter of he may need to be knocking around a little bit to make him come to his senses. So I think he may see a little come to blows with each other.
I think there's going to be a clashing of egos. Kind of is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Until he finally realizes, you know, that he needs to be the one to do it. But they'll both be, you know, out there to, you know, keep up the, you know, if you want to call it the memory of Steve Rogers or you know,
legacy or whatever you want.
Legacy rather, you know. But this doesn't lead into any kind of into a movie like WandaVision. Well, is it?
Well, this is supposed to lead right into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is supposed to be leading up to the next phase 4 of the Avengers, if I'm not mistaken, is where the overall initiative that they're going.
Yeah,
I think
essentially where they're going to fit in the universe after this is they're going to set that up, right? Yeah. And I also think if we get like a Thunderbolt Ross or something like that, we could almost lead into that hemisphere of the MCU too. Because again, I think we're going to get Red Hulk eventually. I think we're going to get some of those characters coming into play, so we could open up a lot of doors.
Freaking Red Hulk, man, bring it all day.
Dude,
you know,
telling you, man, it's happening. It's happening.
But I think it's really good. I think the first episode. I mean, my only gripe with the first episode, and I understand why they did what they did. There was a couple of slow parts, but I'm gonna you know, digest those slow parts because they were very much needed. We needed to pause from the action scene of the opening. And we needed to really see what's going on in the lives of Sam and Bucky. And honestly, it's not good. They're both kind of scrambled right now. Sam is picking up the pieces of his family. His family's literally on their last whim financially. And Bucky is a hot mess psychologically, still trying to figure out his path. And I feel that it's going to be, by the time we get to episode 6 and there's more action and there's more progression, we're going to be really all in agreement. Much like WandaVision. I'm pretty happy with the ending of WandaVision. We're all going to be feeling very confident about that. But did anybody else here want to chime in? Is there something I missed on Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I think we covered most of it.
I want to encourage you guys after PopXcast tonight, go and watch the first opening fight sequence and look at the soldier that they were hired to protect. And if you can find
I'm definitely doing that.
I did it, and I paused it at the exact moment. It took forever because Disney Plus, you're streaming, and it's got a buffer and rewind and all this stuff. But it is definitely the U.S. agent. Now, prove me wrong.
Cool.
Prove me wrong. And why were they hired to protect this one man?
Yeah, that's good.
Because this one man is different. So there we go. If we're rating, are we going to rate this? I don't think we need to rate episode 1.
Can we wait till the end to rate it? Because it's too new.
It's way too new. Yeah.
To really make
I
a
agree with that. I didn't want to really rate number 1 anyway. I mean, I would have gave it like an 8.2 probably, is what I kept hearing in the back of my head. Like an 8 or 8.2. Yeah. But it's definitely good. I mean, anything that we're getting right now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially from Disney Plus, it is a freaking awesome ride. And so I can't wait. And this is just literally setting up Loki. We're getting Loki on June the 11th. And then She-Hulk, I think sometime later. I'm not sure. And then Miss Marvel. Is it Miss Marvel? Yeah. Dude, it's going to be great. Miss Marvel's filming right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
I went and watched, speaking of Bucky, I went back and rewatched Civil War today. And I rewatched it because of Baron Zemo.
That's a great one.
Yeah. I wanted to get some Baron Zemo vibe. And something I didn't realize, his family, his father, his wife, his children were all killed in the Sokovia incident.
Yeah.
I forgot about that tidbit. So he has a huge agenda and a motive to do what he's doing. And the one scene I forgot, he was getting ready to take his own life. And T'Challa.
Yeah.
So I tell you all of that. Go back and watch Civil War, and it kind of sets up some good Falcon and Winter Soldier vibes. It'll give you some good stuff there. Yeah. All right, so we're going to transition over to Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes.
Holy cow! Holy 4 hours of my life that I will probably watch again and have another 4 hours of my life.
I already have.
Oh, you know what? I've said too much, Austin. Why don't you open the discussion on this one, man? What did you think?
Yeah, so I, went in a little nervous for this movie because the other one sucked. I'll just be straight up with you. Here's what I did.
I saw your Letterboxd review on the first one, by the way.
Yeah. And my score has lowered over the years. I started out like, it wasn't great, but it's Justice League. And now especially after seeing this movie, I hate it. It's a botched, now hindsight 2020, right? Now that I can see the botched job that they did on the film and all of the things that were lacking, I think the movie's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible film. But again, there are still pieces and moments that I like in it. Those moments, at least the majority of them, transferred over so well into this 4-hour epic. Now, I don't think this movie's perfect. And, I said, of course the movie's not perfect. There are some moments that, especially going back and watching it the second time around, it does hold up on rewatch, by the way. But some things like the Wonder Woman, every time she's on screen. Oh my God. Every time she's on screen, it's the same thing over and over. I'm just like, y'all got to stop. And then it does get a little bit long. It gets a little bit long in the tooth. Other than that, I think this movie is almost a miracle. It's a miracle because it not only kind of turns around the DCU in a way that it is hopefully getting people to push to bring Snyder back, which I'm very excited for. But it also allows us to care so much more for a character like a Cyborg, a character like a Flash, which I did a complete 180 on. I now see him just as Barry Allen, as opposed to seeing a lot of Wally West from the previous version of the movie. So it did justice for every single character. It also gave the villain in Steppenwolf motivation to do what he did, and he's actually a well-rounded and compelling villain. It changed every aspect of this film for me, and it shined this universe in a new light that I thought was spectacular. And I had a great time with this film. The 4 hours again, but I don't even want to complain about that because it's on HBO Max. I can just pause it and come back to it. You know what I mean? If this was a theater, sure, you just pause it. So, and that's what Madison and I did going back when I watched it the second time, her first time.
Oh, you've watched it twice, right?
I've watched it twice. Yeah. So I was able to, and let me tell you, the action and the moments and even some of that slow-mo the second time around was just as entertaining. And I could see myself watching this again. And that is how good I think this version of Justice
League. And I noticed
League.
You put this in your top favorites on your Letterboxd as well.
Absolutely top 3.
Which
top
movie
4
did you bump for that?
I bumped up or bumped off. Well, I have it at, I think, 3 or 4 on the year right now. And on my DCEU ranked, I put it second place behind Man of Steel. And I have them both. Let me tell you, this could be my number 1 in the DCEU after it's all said and done. That's how much I like
I'm
this
feeling
movie.
the same vibe.
Seriously?
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Lindsay, so did you and the fam make it through 4 hours?
No, the fam did not. No.
I was worried about your kids. I was like, I don't know if their kids
my
are going to...
husband detests everything about Superman.
Wow.
If Superman touches it, it is dead to him. That's how much he just dislikes Superman as a whole. Anyway, so I did offer to watch it with him, and he's politely declined. So I spent my afternoon / evening. I don't know. I think it kind of rolled into both because it's so dang long. But man, what a breath of fresh air on this movie. Yeah. After I watched the 4 hours, I did go back and watch our episode where we originally reviewed it.
You were telling me that.
And we were like, oh, well, it's not the best, but it's actually okay. It's pretty okay. I like this and I like that. And, there was all happy and pop, even the ratings were decent. Actually, you know what? We didn't even rate that.
We didn't rate Justice League.
We forgot to rate the
That was one of the PopX shows we forgot to rate. Yes.
I was like, why? Good. Why did we not rate this movie? So, I mean, we all enjoyed it theatrically. In the theater, it was a good ride. But, once you kind of dissect it and break it down, it was obviously not a well-constructed piece, as we all know today. But what a night and day difference this has made. The character development is so much better. The storyline makes so much more sense. The action sequences don't feel like they're forced. They actually feel natural. And I will tell you this right now, boys, listen closely, because this is going to knock your socks off. I actually liked Batfleck in this movie.
Let's
go.
I
am not a Batfleck fan at all. I really don't like him in the role, but I loved Batfleck in this movie. And if you can sell me on Batfleck, you need to give this movie an award.
he fills that suit nicely. Ben Affleck
does.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually had a little bit of personality, and he wasn't just a grunting, brooding turd floating around in a cape. He actually had some personality and depth to him. And I didn't want to just, scream, go away. I mean, he actually had a purpose in the battles other than just being the chauffeur.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, but that personality is warranted, though, right? That was one of my issues with the other movie, right? In Batman v Superman, he is brooding this, but at least it made sense from his perspective, right? In the other version of Justice League, it's an automatic, it's a bait and switch, and he's all of a sudden this character.
He's cocky.
Yeah.
He's cocky.
Yeah, he's cocky.
Arrogant.
And he's calling out Wonder Woman. In the other version, he gets in an argument with Wonder Woman about Steve Trevor, and I'm like, that's not Batman.
I did not like Batfleck at all before, but with the Snyder cut, they sold me. They got me.
Slow transition into this character.
They got me on board with him, and even the whole fact that I feel like Alfred is running the show more than him.
Oh, I love
kind of
Alfred.
set me off a little bit.
Great casting as Alfred.
But it was amazing to watch him do his thing. It was great.
That was awesome. But you made it through 4 hours, and
I made it.
And that's so cool that you did that. You weathered.
And I did have to take a moment and pause.
Yeah.
When Aquaman was on the pier and he was
So
whooshing.
did I.
And I was like, swoon.
Now, what was he doing again? What was he doing again, Lindsay?
He was whooshing.
Oh, okay.
You know, the tide's rolling over on the pier, and his gorgeous locks are flowing, and it's just, you know, it's a complete sex appeal moment. But
that's actually how they divided up the movie. It's every part starts when he takes his shirt off again.
Oh,
right.
No,
Because
every time he gets out of the water, he's got a shirt on and he takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm okay with this.
I know you are. He's just doing that. All they're doing that. Zack Snyder did that, I think, just for the ladies. That was a ladies' call.
Zach, it
worked for me.
I'm telling you something right now. I was like, oh my God. I'm feeling
He's a
feelings.
good-looking man.
I'm questioning my marriage right now because Jason Momoa's
good-looking man.
I mean,
you guys got a cave full of Amazon women to stare at. Why can't I just have one Aquaman with a shirt off? Come on.
Yeah.
I'm joining your party. Let me tell you, because he's a good. I mean, seriously, but
gorgeous.
It's not only right. You know, you hire the guy because Henry Cavill's a great looking guy. These guys can act, man.
Let's give Lindsay a fan here.
The charisma coming off of Jason Momoa.
Goodness.
He's a beast, man.
I mean,
he's a beast of an actor.
Mr. Cavill, though he was a little dead at the time. No, I'm kidding.
No pun intended there, huh?
Oh my gosh.
He was kind of.
No, I mean,
his name was Rick A. Mortis.
Yeah. hey, and the best part, Henry Cavill did not have that horrible CGI'd upper lip in this movie.
The way
I was looking for the CGI stash. I was like,
thank God.
And thank God that was all Joss Whedon's.
Just an automatic. Yeah, it's just an automatic. Like, oh, is it there? No.
It's like, oh, look, we don't have a horrid face.
We finally got to see the black suit.
Oh, wasn't that
I was
cool?
so excited about that. We got to see the black suit finally.
And we didn't start out. I think the work. So watching these two back to back was hilarious because I actually wrote down everything different. So we start out the Joss Whedon film with this horrible, vertically filmed scene with Superman coming down to this kid. He's like, "Oh, little kid," and then we get Batman on the rooftop, which doesn't make any sense. It's cool to see Batman. The way this movie starts with the Superman getting stabbed, the yell opening up the mother boxes, dude. The coolest thing. I mean, what? It's got to be the most epic way to start a superhero movie. I think this is a more epic way than anything Marvel's ever done to start a superhero film. It was incredible to see, and Henry Cavill was just a beast in this film.
He was. He owned this. Mike Ippolito, you're hiding behind a graphic again, dude. You need to be up here.
Come talk to
us. Come and join the conversations. So did you make it through the 4-hour Justice League?
I did. I couldn't do it all in one night. It just I had to break it up, between 2 nights because I just couldn't do it.
What was your takeaways, man? What did you think?
Or I like to call it the Snyder cut of Cyborg backstory.
Yeah, man.
Just they could have cut about an hour's worth of this movie out with a lot of unnecessary Cyborg stuff. It was just like, the scene where he was with the woman and the child and he gave her the money in the ATM machine. That was like a whole 15 minutes that I don't think was necessary.
Well, it was showing that he was using his stuff for good and not evil, but it could have been.
But that wasn't the part where his father was challenging him, though. You have a choice with this ability.
It just felt like it was just too long-winded. I'm sure they could have cut it down some.
Now, don't you be a Debbie Downer here, Mike Ippolito.
No, I'm just, kind of sticking a few things.
No, you're good.
Be honest, man.
The way it opened up, I think, was so much better than seeing butt chin Superman. Could have done with it. It's just
butt chin soups.
Yes,
Hashtag.
Yeah. And I think a lot of questions were answered that I had. Like the original version, they had to keep it under 2 hours. So it's just like they crammed so much in without explaining anything. Mm-hmm. I think Snyder's version of Steppenwolf was 100 times better.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Than it was previously. I'm glad we see that he was actually, trying to get back on the good side and dark side, and it was kind of, I didn't realize until I started watching it that this was rated R. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it where you see Wonder Woman throw the guy and smashes his head wide open against the wall.
Yeah.
And a lot of blood and guts type thing. And I'm going, well, that's something you normally don't see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially in a DC, Justice League, children's going to be watching this and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
It's something you normally don't see. But I think to me, the highlight for me was the Barry Allen scene where he saves Iris from the truck crash.
I had a feeling you were going to start talking about Barry Allen.
That was great.
Between that and the Martha Lois conversation where they were sitting at the table, he says, Lois, you need to come back to the living.
Yes.
And then right after that, the Martian Manhunter. I think that was pretty cool. I'm a big Harry Lennox fan, and I thought he was really good in that. And a lot of other scenes where Wonder Woman puts the arrow in the wall and it opens up and it kind of tells you the whole dark side story. That was, I think, really well. But obviously we didn't see no dark side. Dark side had nothing to do with the original, so it wouldn't have been, part of the movie to begin with. But I think the 4 hours kind of, told a lot about, answered a lot of questions. The epilogue at the end was great, where they showed how Lex Luthor got out. Definitely nice to see, Slade Wilson, more of a scene to that.
Deathstroke.
Definitely enjoyed that. So, so now we're going to see what the next version is going to look like.
It's going to be, according to John Poffenbarger over in the chat room, it's going to be a 45-minute cut. I'm
like
monitoring the chat room here. He's like, he is freaking hilarious, John. You're crazy.
Well, coming next is going to be Justice of Gray.
Justice Gray.
Black and white version.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That would actually probably look pretty wicked cool, I would say, in black and white.
They say there's extra footage of Joker at the end, so it'd probably be more than 4 hours.
About that dream sequence, that was wild.
If you notice, every time Batman has it, I went and watched Bat v Superman Ultimate Edition on HBO Max before I watched this, and it is a fantastic film, mind you. A little bit different than the other. Oh my God, so much better.
Yeah.
Definitely a bit different than the theatrical cut, but in his dream nightmare sequence as well, he's still in the brown trench coat with the goggles, and it's funny. He's having another nightmare sequence. He's in the brown trench coat and the goggles, and it's almost as if this version. Let me just say this: I really need to see this Snyder verse restored. I want to see, even though every fan may not be on board with what Zack is doing with these characters and these IPs, the fact is, I want to see more of what is going on in the future. Why is he having these visions? Why is he dressed in this post-apocalyptic world? And then Superman's being controlled by, obviously, the Darkseid's whole point of this is to find the anti-life equation, which is this amazing, well, it's not amazing. It's this thing that is innately embedded into the core of Earth as all the DNA and the species of the world. If he can find that equation, he can control anything on that planet and in the universe. It's a specific thing, and that's why Darkseid is devouring all these worlds. If you think of it in terms of Galactus, how Galactus goes around and he devours worlds, and he sends the Surfer out to be the one. Well, Steppenwolf is kind of like the Silver Surfer in this episode, and then Galactus is the one that devours worlds. Darkseid's the one that devours the worlds. But he's doing this to find the anti-life equation. If and when he finds it, he can control everything. And that's what I believe that these dreams that he's having is a part of, is he's trying, and then Superman obviously is being controlled by Darkseid at that point as well in the dream. But it's really interesting. It's very crazy, those dream sequences. But I have to say, the banter between Batman and Joker was probably some of the best banter I've ever. It was just amazing. Jared Leto freaking nailed it on that. And speaking, go ahead.
So much better than what we saw, and I know we saw a lot less in Suicide Squad than we should have seen. But it was almost uncomfortable to watch. But I think that's how you should feel when you're watching the Joker, right? You should feel uncomfortable, kind of like this dude he's about to turn around, stab somebody in the back. And that's what I got, right? Whether you enjoy watching that or not, I could see how some are like, it's too off for me, but the Joker is an off character. He's supposed to make you feel like that. And in this desolate world, in that situation with Batman, that was some wild banter. You know what? Funny enough, they weren't even in the same room when they filmed that scene. Batman and Joker.
Really?
They were in two different rooms. So I was impressed with how they put it together. Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah. Did you notice, speaking of new film footage, did you notice the end scene when we're in epilogue of Ben Affleck's character, Bruce Wayne, talking to Martian Manhunter? Did you notice that was a different visual version of Ben Affleck? Because that was a new version of Ben Affleck?
New. It's a little bit.
Because you can tell
a little bit. Yeah, older.
Yeah. And it was all new. And you could tell it's like, oh, that was a recut. That was reshot.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
With Joker and Batman doing the truce thing, how do they move forward with their lovely relationship?
I don't know. That was a dream sequence, so none of it was real.
I want to see that.
Or was it?
Or was it? Well, I mean,
I'll say this about the epilogue. Awesome to see. I don't know if it fits within the context of the film. In my eyes, the movie ends when they're all standing there and we get to see them go off and do their own thing. So it's almost like this huge post-credit scene that Zack Snyder put in, showing what could come from this world. I also didn't love Martian Manhunter's dialogue. Calling himself Martian Manhunter was a little on the nose for me. He goes, I am Martian Manhunter.
Jean Jones.
That's what I told Madison. I said, why didn't you say John Jones? That would have been so much cooler. But again, I didn't mind it. It was still cool to see. Like a little
Remember, Jean Jones.
Yeah. He should have said it. He should have said it's my Eastern Kentucky.
In his time travel suit at the end. So you kind of throw back to Batman v Superman where he came through in time travel. And I do definitely like the visuals that they used, for the Speed Force. It's much better than what they had before.
I had I had Peter's vibe from X-Men Apocalypse when he was doing the Quicksilver. I had that kind of vibe when he was saving Iris. I guess we assume that's Iris West, right?
They didn't really.
That's who it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I assume.
In the movie.
All right. Now, asking everybody here already, I have a question, and this may have been answered in the movie. The scene from Batman versus Superman, and he talks about it at his desk. He said, I saw Barry Gordon come through the time portal, and he was saying it's all about Lois. It's all about Lois. Now, we know that Lois was the one that brought Superman's mind back, but there was kind of a nod or an insinuation there that that's not exactly what does it mean? What is that? I didn't get that because that was mentioned in Batman versus Superman, brought up again in Justice League. What does that mean?
For me, it's Batman lets Lois die. When Lois dies, that sets him off. That sets Superman off on the dark path. Yeah, so Lois dies. Also, Zack Snyder confirmed that Lois Lane is pregnant, so Superman loses a child and his wife in the process. So he goes crazy and joins Darkseid to take over the world.
That's the impression I got because I seen the skeleton that he was holding. When Darkseid came behind him, I had imagined that was Lois.
Wow.
Me too.
Okay.
Well, and when they were in one of the scenes where Lois is waking up in bed and she reaches over and
in the drawer is a
empty,
pregnancy test,
and she rolls over and gets that out of the there's the pregnancy test there in the drawer. That's right there, foreshadowing, if not already happening, moments. What's to come.
I really would love to see, and I am hoping that the success of this film will allow Warner Brothers, frickin' Warner Brothers, to fulfill this entire Snyderverse, to let Man of Steel 2 come out, Justice League 2. I want to see this to the fruition, and I'm kind of getting what is that Mortal Kombat game that NetherRealm Studios made? It's DC
Marvel where they take on each other.
And it's kind of like that, a post-apocalyptic vibe that I was getting from that. It's like, I mean, Zack Snyder might be pulling a little bit from the video game here a little bit because Superman is the villain. He has his
Injustice. It's got some Injustice in it too.
Injustice is the name. DC's Injustice. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
How in the world did I forget that? I own both games in there. But I'm there's so much I'm talking about here right now, but it kind of feels like a little bit of the Injustice storyline bleeding over into Zack Snyder's Justice League with the post-apocalyptic stuff. But personally, I'm on board. I would really love to see Zack Snyder have an opportunity to do what the Russo's brothers did and fulfill the whole legacy. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Hopefully the reception of the Zack Snyder cut from the fans. I know that this was a fan demand that they did fulfill. Hopefully the reaction to this version encourages them to move forward as a studio, seeing that, okay, this is what the people want. And I know that it's going to make us more money if you don't make crap films and all this other stuff. This is what they want to see. So hopefully they take a note from that and move forward with the rest of the
talk about that. Zack Snyder did release the story for Justice League 2 and 3 because it was under the impression that they would never be released. So he just went ahead and released the story. Whether that changes, that's a possibility. But it was released under the impression that these would never be made. So he just released the story
as is
for people to see what could have been.
Yeah, you're right. And I hope that the fan outcry seriously, the fan outcry got this film made in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Fans are more powerful than Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And
they are.
It took 3 years in the making to get this done. And guess what? It happened. And now we have the fulfillment of his legacy. And all that 70% of footage that he shot, where Joss Whedon only used about 35%, all that fulfillment. And, this movie was one of the things I really loved about it, too, was the chapters. And I love the fact that it's on HBO Max, so Zack Snyder could go 3 or 4 hours, whatever he wanted to. He could tell his story to fruition. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. And so I enjoyed the chapters and each dive into each hero's kind of coming into their own in terms of this union of the heroes, this Justice League. And I enjoyed it. I loved the Aquaman backstory. There were so many added scenes there that I was like, oh my God, that's new. That's new. That's new. And I just picked it up immediately, all the new stuff. It was great for me. Is there anything that we're missing here? Is there anything that's...
I have a question. Yeah. I know that this was just kind of from his vision, but do you feel like you could have leaned it down a little bit, maybe even took an hour of content out of it and it would still carry the same weight?
I kind of think that, honestly...
Trim the fat, per se.
You know what? We wanted it for so long. Is it really needed to even trim it?
Oh, I don't feel like it's necessary at all. I was just curious.
No.
Because, 3 hours, a lot of people are used to kind of doing that for epic films, but 4 hours is a big dedication.
The thing that comes to mind for me are a few things that maybe were unnecessary, right? We have I think the scene where Aquaman goes back in the water and we get the singing. Now, I understand why he does that. Again, it's like this epic, falling back to ancient times. I think moments like that could have been trimmed a little bit. But again, if you break it up into this episodic thing on HBO Max, it really doesn't bother me all that much, right? A lot of slow-mo, I think, honestly, the slow-mo takes that runtime and prolongs it too, because that's just Snyder's style and flair. But then again, it's like we're missing out on some sweet visuals if we take that out. So I don't mind. I really don't mind. The Irishman was 3.5. Avengers Endgame was 3:05, and this is a lot longer. But if you really go by the chapters and watch it episodically, and I think HBO Max would be smart to maybe give us that option to watch it episodically eventually, I don't think this is going to bother. Now, it'll bother you getting into the movie, but once you're there, I think it's not going to be a huge negative down the line.
And that's what I was getting at with Cyborg. It didn't take a whole lot away from it for me. I think that it just dragged on too much. I think there's some stuff. That's why I'm not a movie editor or anything like that, because it just he wanted that. If that's what his vision was, then so be it. But there are some things that that could have been eliminated or slimmed down, and like what I was getting at with the whole ATM thing. I'm sure they could have shrunk that down a little bit, but it didn't take a whole lot, away. I still enjoyed it as a whole,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the questions I got very early on about this movie is like, why in the world did he choose 4:3?
Oh, I was taken back to old.
Well, let me answer that question for you. The cameras that they used to film this are actually in a 4:3 segment, and they actually crop the top and the bottom bar to give you the 16:9. So to preserve every part of the camera angles that was shot, you're getting the full resolution of the video. You're getting everything, because it's weird how they do 16:9, because 16:9, there's so many different aspect ratios. If you go back and watch Marvel movies, some of them are, the bar on the bottom and top are different sizes, different ratios. Yep. I think even Endgame is in a different ratio than Winter Soldier and Civil War. It's really weird how they do it, especially if they're using different cameras like IMAX and then all this. But the cameras that they used for Justice League did shoot in that in a very high res. I don't think it was like 8K or some kind of ridiculous resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go back and they crop the middle part, and that's your 16:9. And I really have to respect him because he didn't want any part. He didn't want none of that cropping. He's like, I want it to be intact. And I'm kind of glad he did, because honestly, watching this on 4K resolution at 120 frames a second was freaking astonishing. And I'm kind of glad he kept it all intact and didn't crop it just to fit a standard medium, so.
It took a few minutes to get used to, but I didn't, after like maybe 5 minutes, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
There was a disclaimer at the beginning that said it was shot that way to keep his true vision.
I don't know if there was a disclaimer
there was some kind of message that flashed up, but it was something about this is 4:3 ratio, blah, blah, blah. I didn't really pause to read the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think we're about done on terms of Justice League. I think that, it speaks for itself. If you're not, if hopefully you've seen it by this point. If you've not, hello, spoiler alert. But go back and watch it again and enjoy it for what it is. And like Austin had suggested, enjoy it episodically. Maybe watch chapter 1 day and come back and refresh, watch chapter 2. And you can make this, you can expand this out over a week if you wanted to, technically. But I think that we've said all we want to say about Justice League. I think it was a phenomenal move. Is it better than Joss Whedon's? Oh my God, yes. And I'm so glad that Zack Snyder finally got to use all the footage that he originally shot for this film and was intended for this film. And it was just really gratifying to see all that new footage coming in through the scenes as the movie was progressing, because I could pick it out immediately. Austin, Lindsay, Mike, do you guys have any closing thoughts or anything on Justice League?
I just want to throw out something real quick. I guess I found out about it after the fact. There was a Spider-Man Easter egg thrown in there.
Ben Parker. Ben Parker is on the wall.
Yeah, Ben Parker. His name is on the wall behind Flash during that fight scene.
There sure is. If you pause it at the right point, you will see Ben Parker.
Yeah. So
I think I saw a meme on the internet. Tobey Maguire was doing the cry meme. It was like Ben Parker. So that's so good. Well, let's officially rate Zack Snyder's Justice League, shall we? Let's give our full rating. Austin, what are you going with out of, do your normal rating, ever how you do it?
Yeah, I, first time around, I went an 8.2. I wanted to see how it resonated and if the runtime really got to me. I'm going to up it just a little bit. I'm going to go an 8.4 for this film, because how I grade things, I have different categories, and one of those is whether or not it resonates with me. And I actually put that up by 2 points because it hit me just as hard the second time around, and I actually noticed more that I liked, right? The things that stuck out that I didn't love as much, they're still there, right? But everything else, this is one of the coolest superhero movies I've seen in a while, and I'm really glad it's on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm. Badges?
I'll stick it at an 8.
8?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It's a solid good watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mike?
I'm going to go with an 8.5. I thought it was considerably better than what we were originally given in the theater. And, it answered a lot of questions that I had, opposed to just being everything thrown together in a big hodgepodge pile. At least it explained a lot of stuff.
Right.
So, but I'm looking forward to, I know there will be a home release of it. We're supposed to see that in the U.S. here around May.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Really?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be on a BD100, which is a triple layer Blu-ray, where they can put all 4 hours on one disc.
What?
Supposedly the speculation is one disc will have the version we saw on HBO Max. The second disc will be
the black and white
Justice's Gray black and white edition, and then 2 additional discs with all bonus footage.
My gosh.
That should be, heavy.
Are they doing a steelbook release on that?
Maybe.
Okay. I may have to deep dive. Even though I can watch it for free on HBO Max, I may have to add that one to the arsenal just to have it to the arsenal. Yeah. Well, we have 8.4, 8. Mike, I'm going to actually ditto your score. I want to go 8.5 as well.
Nice.
I was elated. And when that black and white Superman outfit came flying through, I'm like, holy 1994 Superman, we finally freaking have the black suit. And it's really weird. I was going through. There's a local artist here in town, and he's a Superman I don't want to say entrepreneur. That's not the right word. He's a Superman fanatic, aficionado. Thank you. And he was saying on his Facebook post today, I was like, I don't like the black suit. And I was like, have you not read the comics? I'm like, wow. Seriously. And he's an older gentleman, and he's more traditional. He's more into the Christopher Reeve Superman of that era. And I'm just like, dude, where were you at between 94 and 96 when Superman was rocking the long hair and the black outfit? I mean,
I wanted him to go all out. Give me the long hair. Give me a big grizzly long beard, hair too. Dude. Come on, let's go. But I love what we got still.
Yeah. Alex Lopez over in the room says he's giving it an 8.7 out of 10. Hey, if you're watching this on our live stream on our YouTube channel, or you have downloaded this to your device and you're listening to the podcast version of this, let us know. Give us a comment back at popxcast@gmail.com or whatever, and let us know what you rated the Snyder Cut. Yeah, and with all of that said, man, look at that, Lindsay Badger, within 5 minutes. Did I tell you?
You nailed it, dude. You know how to do these runtimes.
Did I not tell you? But there was a little bit of a, we're going to go over now because I'm rambling again, but we were like debating, like, how long is this going to go? Because we got 3 movies to talk about tonight. Well, technically 2 movies and a television show, but still. But it's really awesome. This has been a great podcast. There's been a lot of good commentary. Austin Burke, thank you so much for joining, man. It's been fantastic. And we're going to wrap things up here as we always do. Austin, do you want to take us out, dude?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I got a phone call right in the middle of you talking. My brother called me, so sorry. It kind of messed with my sound.
Well, you can actually answer the phone call if you want, and you can be like, hey,
be like, what's doing, man?
What's up, Josh?
Hey, bro, let's close out the show with me here.
How's Super Smash Bros.
How's that ear rape career going for you? Okay.
He has a great YouTube career, guys.
He does.
Almost at 100K.
He's a sexy
we are part of we're part of the newly formed creative group known as the Creative Multiverse. For more great media content, artwork, and more, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Creative Multiverse. If you guys are a creative, you produce content, or have a talent, we want to see it and would like for you to share it with us in the multiverse. And you guys can find me, Austin Burke, on YouTube, at the Burkinator on Twitter and Instagram, and on Letterboxd, where I know Joseph, you're on there as well, man. So
dude,
we're logging movies every day.
I'm seriously, I'm literally watching every night before I go to bed. I will watch one retro film every night, and I will log it. And so, yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, baby,
that's so cool.
That's how we do it.
Getting the movies done.
Lindsay Bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's me, Lindsay Badger. Find me everywhere, LR Badger on the internet. If you want to connect with PopXcast, though, we are on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and Pinterest. Everywhere at PopXcast. If you want to go old school and send your comments and suggestions to us via email, we do have one of those at popxcast@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. And for future and past shows, make sure you go to our website, www.popxcast.com.
That is awesome. And man, we've had a great show tonight. And I'm telling you, this has been fantastic. I'm Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts all over the web. It's not too hard to find me. And of course, hats off as always to amazing Team PopX, Lindsay Badger, Mike Ippolito, and Austin Burke, my cousin.
Hey, can I follow up real quick? Josh just texted me and said, I was wondering if I could watch your HBO Max. I'm dying to see Justice League tonight. How crazy is that? We were
you got to give him your login, bro. You got to.
I got to give my bro my login.
You got to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and give him some love for me too. You know, inappropriate love.
Man.
Okay,
absolutely.
Appreciate that.
That's the best.
And we'll be back on episode 119 in 2 weeks from now, as we will be dropping Godzilla vs. Kong, which is also going to be on HBO Max. So we will talk the Battle of the Giant Beasts, as well as reviewing on the Retro Rewind one of Austin's favorite 80s movies, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah. Are you excited to talk Ferris?
I'm wearing all my shirts and my pop figure, my Ferris Bueller. Oh, I'm so excited. 9 times.
9 times. 9 times. Fry.
Godzilla.
So much goodness, dude. I'm telling you. All right, guys, we are out of here. I'm going to let my buddy, Mr. Boomer Galassi in Chicago, take us out on the outro. We'll see you in 2 weeks as we talk all things big lizards and big monkeys. That's right. It's Godzilla versus Kong and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks for listening to PopXcast. As you're enjoying listening or viewing our shows, please consider clicking on the subscribe button to our feed and click the get notifications buttons so you don't miss out on great future content. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PopXcast, and on Instagram at PopXcast. And be sure to drop us an email anytime at popxcast@gmail.com. For more great content, check out the Creative Multiverse, where science, art, and imagination come together with artistic talents. The Creative Multiverse can be found on Facebook groups under the same name. We'll see you next time. Get your geek on.